video. Here we're going to show you how to find a client, create an account, review an account and improve applications and review approve eligibility, and then also create a scope of work, costing, and then actually start doing the job and then getting paid for said job. The first thing you're going to do is go to account summary. And within account summary, this is where you can see if a client is already in the system. So for example, I'm going to type in Afani test and then select search and add. You can see here that there are two people in ECM named Afani test or Afani test 2. And to verify if this account is the account you're looking for, please look at the address. Some people may have the same name, but the address will let you know if that's the client or not. Since these addresses are not the address of my client, I'm going to click create a new account. If any of these addresses was the right address, I would just select, and then I can move forward with this application or this account. Since this is not the right address, I'm going to click create new account. And let me note that sometimes accounts are created by the client themselves, so it'll be referred over. So you don't have to go through these steps. You can go straight to the application page. But if you have to create the account for said application, then these are the steps to take. So here now, create a new account. I can just type in Afani test again. Social security number is highly recommended, but is not required. You can just put date of birth for that client. And in here, we require for you to enter either the client's email or phone number. I will put a phone number. And then when you scroll down here, you'll put the client's address. Let me close this. And notice that the addresses are geocoded. Then you just click sign up. And now that account is created. This is your client's account. On the right side, you can see that there are new applications. So the way ECM works, there are two ways to see an account. So this is an account, and on the right side are the applications. ECM is a platform for all of Chicago. So an account can have multiple program associated with it. For example, if any test could have a workforce application, it could have a seniors application, a hop application. So on the right side, you're going to see all the applications associated with this account. So one account can have a lot of applications, but just make sure to not duplicate accounts because each person should be his own one account, even though they can have 5, 10, 100 applications for that said one account. So let me go to application now. Here I'm going to create my DOH application. Note that I have a lot of different DOH programs here. Your program may not be any of these. You may have a specific program and it might just be just that one program. Since I'm an admin, I can see everything, but you might just be able to see just your own specific program. So notice on the right side that I have a verified list. What this shows me, it shows that I cannot lock this application until I have reached everything in the verified list. So I'm gonna now go to household members. Here is where I will type in and enter in all the demographic information. Notice that on here we have V for required. The red V is required. So just make sure you fill this out. And if you don't know any of this information, we always have an option for unknown. I'll say unknown for marital status, ethnicity, and then housing status, of course, you can put if they rent on a homeless. Save that, and now I can move on to income. Actually, the assessments. I don't think you guys have assessments here, so I'm just gonna move on to income. Here in income, I can now enter in what type of income source this client has and the frequency and amount that they make. So for example, if they're employed, you can just put here. that they're employed and they get paid bi-weekly. And let's say that they get paid $800 a week or every 2 weeks. I can save that. Then notice that ECM will automatically do the calculations for 800 every 2 weeks to 1733 monthly, and then 5,199 quarterly, and then the yearly amount is $2,000. And we also have the poverty percentages as here and AMI percentage here as well. You can also add multiple income sources. Let's say that they also receive child support monthly, and that child support is 300. And then click save, and then you just notice that everything else gets added up. And if they have any non-cash benefits such as SNAP, TNF, anything like that, you can put that here. But if there's none, you just put that here. And they have any insurance, you can put that here as well. But you can just say they did not collect it as well. And then after this, I can then move on to the housing info tab. Within the housing info tab, I can then put in the property information. Sometimes the client does this themselves, but if they don't, you can just do it on their behalf if you're creating the application for them. Bedrooms, let's say two, bathrooms, two, square footage, 600, let's say 900. Year built, I'm gonna put 1988. And then notice when the year built, the age of the building is gonna be here as well based off the year. So if I make this 1987, the year changes. If you have the real estate pin and all of this, please feel free to enter information, and then so on and so forth. And then property condition, let's say average condition, and then this is required, but the primary area of work is a roof or porch. But based off your own program, this drop down options will may change based on what your program works on primarily. I'm using HRP, and HRP primarily works with roof and porch. But these drop downs are flexible based on your program. And when I click save, I can now go down to housing expenses. Here, I'll just put the expenses that they may have. Let's say they have a mortgage, and then just put the mortgage is 700 or 799, and then anything else. Note that these questions are dynamic and may change based on your own program. These are the questions that HRP currently uses, but they are not static. If your program requires different property information questions, we will change it based on the requirements that you provide to us. Let's see. Okay. After this, I can now go to document. I can upload documents here. For some reason, there's no documents for this application, but I can go to document category and add documents. I'll just add one here. And it's upload a document. You just click on this add icon, select the document type, and then click this icon to then go to your document um, file. And then you can just upload a document. You just upload this picture. And then you can also see that document on here as well. To delete a document, let's just click this delete pencil, and then you can then move forward. Let's say you put the wrong document by accident. You can come back here. Put this document. Yeah, just that. Add a different one. And you can also add multiple documents per document type. See this one. And then flip it over. Once you're done, you know that verify pencil is that verify icon is gone, and you can now lock the application. Once you lock it, so based on who does the eligibility approval, you may not do this part, but whoever does the eligibility approval will go to the QC app approval page to find that application. So since I'm already working on this application, it automatically showed here. But if you want to find the application, you can just click on this QC approval list on the right side. Here you can either type in the name of the client, you can put the address of the client, and just click search. Or you just do pending and click search. And then you can find your client. So you see here, finding test, click locate, and I found my client. Here you can do a quick review of the application, household info, income, property. So everything we entered in the application page will appear here. And then if this looks good to you, you can click approve, or if it doesn't look good to you, you can click deny. When you click deny, you have the ability to click allow resubmit. What allow resubmit does is it sends it back to the application page for any fixes. But to do allow resubmit, you have to put a comment here. Missing, let's say like they're missing a document. And just let them know what document they're missing. And then click save. So now the status has changed to resubmit. You can go back to application. Let's say I have a missing document here. Let's say it's this. Click save. Let's say I add that document. I have any PDF. Let's use the same document. Now I go back to QC app approval. I now have those documents. If it looks good, you can now click approve. Once you click approve, you can just click save. Now you're not done here. Notice that my status has changed to pending assignment. Since it's pending assignment, it's pending me to assign this job or this application to a contractor. So to assign it, you just click on assign, select the contractor, and then select the contract. A contractor may have multiple contracts within the city. So select which one they may have, and then click save. Now, once that's done, you notice the status is now changed to approved, the date it was approved, and the contractor it was sent to. So now this is one step of the DOH process for the ECM. This is the eligibility step. And now the next step is the construction step. So most times this step is done by the Department of Housing, the actual within the city. And then the next step, the construction step is done by actual contractors. We rarely see where these two steps are done by the same group, but it is possible. So let's say that DOH has approved this and assigned this to a contractor. Now the contractor will be then notified, and then they will come to here. And let me get the address. Let's say it's 401 North Michigan. They'll go to scope of work. Since I'm already working on this, it just automatically appeared, but the contractor can come here and just click on address and type in that address and then find that application. What they'll do here first is to click on this icon right here. Here, they'll note what area they're going to be working on, porch or roof. So this is definitely customizable based on your program. If you do anything besides portion roof, it can be here. If you don't do anything that involves portion roof, we can remove it and then add whatever you guys do based on your program. So everything you see here is customizable based on the requirements that you provide us. Let's say it's roof, and then I can just come down here. I can upload any documents that are associated to this scope. And I can also come to item listing and I can draw, and I can also upload pictures for my drawings. And then on the right side, you can see tasks with all the different task options based on the area. And of course, these are customizable based on your program requirements. Make sure you put a purpose, installation, repair, or retrofit. Click save. And then once that's done, you can now click on scope complete. Once the scope is complete, you can now move on to project costing. This is where you're going to project how much this will cost you. So you can just click on right here for material. So for roof assembly and windows, let's say for material, you click on this plus icon, enter in the material description, So just the material itself, how many units, say 20 units, and cost per unit, let's say $5. So 20 times 5 is 100, and then we will automatically provide you the information, and that will automatically come up to the total cost, and it goes to material. Now let's say there's a labor cost for that, of course. Any description, if it's hourly, not hourly. Total rate, let's say total rate is $300 straight, and just click save. Now my labor cost 300, material cost 100, total cost 400. I can do the same for windows here. Unit cost 50, how many units for, and then the labor for that work is $300. And if you're wondering where I got roof assembly and windows from, that came within this project scope when I was editing the areas in scope. So if I click on right here, you see this task here, roof assembly and windows. That's how you do that. So now that I've finished that, I can click on scope complete. Once I click on scope complete, you can see that I have the approve button. You will most likely not have this button. This goes to the Department of Housing to approve it themselves. So the contractor used does not approve their own costing. DOH needs to review this and then they will approve. But since I'm an admin, I have access to all the buttons, so I will approve it myself. And also before you do that too, make sure to add any documentation. To add documentation, you just go here, go to property information, click on add, go to additional. And then also here, you can also add photos of the job. So since the job hasn't started yet, you probably won't have any photos. The photos can be added after it's approved. So that, now if approved, just click approved. So DOH has the ability to either approve it, send it back to you, or deny the entire application. So let's say I approve it. Now, once approved, I can now move forward to the work order management page. The work order management page is the page you're going to use when you start working on the job. So if I type in address, find that address, DOH will approve this. And now let's say you're actually working on the job and you already have your scope, you have your cost estimations. Based on your cost and estimations, if there are any changes on that, so right now it's about $990, you can make a change request. Let DOH know that you actually have to add more materials. Let's say this is going to cost $30 per material and you need 10 of them. Click save. Now submit all description needed more roofing materials. When you click submit, it goes back to DOH to review. Um, DOH goes here, they can now see your change request approval. So this goes to DOH. So you may not see this yourself, but DOH will be notified to review this. They will click on process and they will see the different changes that you added. And they can either approve or deny your costing change. If they approve it, they'll process it and now request is approved. And then you can carry on what you were doing on the job. And notice that the total cost has changed based on that request. So before you can actually submit this, make sure you click on this checklist because DOH is going to need you to actually upload all these documents before you can actually submit. So you get warranty, contractor waiver of lien, before photos, after photos, all of that. And that can be done within document. And then document, you just click on additional, and that's where you can see all those different document types to upload. Very simple. Before and after photos, that'll be done within, I believe, is it job? Yeah, I believe it's job. Yeah. So you go to job, you go to what job you're working on, the task, let's say the roof assembly, and then here you put the before photos, just click upload, put your photos in. Or if it's after photos, click after, put your photos in. And once you're done, just click save. If it's the Windows, it's the same process. Very simple and straight to the point. So job is where you put the photos, and additional is where you put those documents. Now, let's say that you've completed everything, you added your documents, you can just lock this, click lock. Notice that I can't move forward because I haven't added some of these documentations. Um, so once I add these documents, I'll be able to lock it, and then DOH would then be able to approve everything and then approve the voucher. But in regards to your process, this would be the last step in regards to your process within ECM. And then the next step would be DOH approving and locking everything. So thank you for attending this training. If you need any additional assistance, please.